Welcome back to the Shacknews Awards. We are here to talk about the best remake slash remaster of the year. We kind of combine these two categories into one because the industry is kind of combining these things into one. With some of the names of these games, I don't even think they know what they're doing anymore. But yeah, let's get to the nominees, and then we'll talk about the games, and then we'll vote. And then you will know what the best remake of the year 2024 was. Our first nominee, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Persona 3 Reload. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, which is what I was talking about earlier. What the hell is a deluxe remaster? Silent Hill 2 Remake. And a banger, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake. Just hallelujah. It's always a good year when we get more Dragon Quest. And we got some of the best Dragon Quest ever. So I don't know. Why did they do this Last of Us remaster?
Money?
I could talk about this one.
Go for it.
I can give it a fair shake here. I think that the original, when Last of Us 2 came out originally in 2020, it had a similar fate to the first Last of Us, where it came out like, I think 5 months before the PS5 did.
Like very late cycle. Okay.
Yeah, it was like summer 2020, and then the PS5 came out that fall.
Got it.
So it was one of those like weird fringe games where it was kind of just on PS4 for a while, and you could play it backwards compatible on PS5. But I think the game noticeably looks and runs better on PS5. It's probably the best looking PS4 game that I've played. And it's stunning on PS5. And with the remaster, they actually added a good amount of content. There's a whole new game mode, No Return, which is like I guess like a roguelike survival game where you kind of just go through waves of enemies and you can play as different characters from the story. You can be Dina or Ellie, Joel, Abby. And you set traps and fight enemies. It's actually a fun, like, very fleshed out game mode that I enjoyed quite a bit. And it's one of those games that, like, it's important enough to the PlayStation pantheon that I think it deserves to be in whatever the definitive, prettiest, smoothest version is at all times. So I think it's a damn good remaster, although that game did come out 4 years ago.
That's all I'm saying, is that it's the speed at which they're doing this now that's kind of jarring. But the context you provided does make sense, Simon. Like, the timing of the release at the end of the PS4 cycle, ahead of the PS5. And also, yeah, it's been 4 years. The other thing going on is, like, that Last of Us TV show came out last year, and, like, it was good. Yeah. So they needed to have something for people to be like, oh, yeah, if you like the show, go try this out. And I think Microsoft kind of failed in that respect with Fallout, because they have this great Fallout series, and they didn't have any new Fallout game to go along with it. So I think that's probably part of it too, was the success of that movie.
Doing it as accessible as possible.
And then I don't think we have any FF7 Rebirth defenders here right now.
I mean, like,
I guess Greg is probably our closest.
The game definitely has moments. Like, the revised tracks from '97 are awesome. Like, the battle system is still
the game
good.
has moments, but that's such a box quote, Greg.
It is. It does have moments. And it's like, it's interesting because Ozzy's not here because he never played the '97 game, and it's those moments that I hate and the Ozzy loves, which is weird because I'm like, oh, you didn't do that. But I mean, it's still a good game. Like, I still enjoyed it. Like, it drags its feet. So does Remake at the end. It drags it, but I mean, it's still a fun game and it's still beautiful to look at. It's a gorgeous game.
That's what I was gonna say. That game's stunning. Like, just in the simplest terms of a remake, you look at what that original game looks like.
Yeah,
this one looks like. It's is pretty staggering how gorgeous.
Let's just say it's been a few years, Donovan, since they released FF7 for PS1.
It's been a few years.
Yes, like, if we're gonna dunk on Last of Us for doing it too soon, I give credit to them for doing one when video games just look completely different now.
And I completely agree. And I would agree wholeheartedly if they didn't just Kingdom Hearts the hell out of the ending of it.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that there's all these ideas. There's this, well, like, you could tell, like, this the designer, like, had influences from Kingdom Hearts, obviously. Like, it's just what it was. Yeah, I mean, the original art designer, I think, for 7 was the person who created Kingdom Hearts. The person who did the art, I think. Or is heavily involved. I'm not sure. But no. Yeah, I mean, I still think it's a gorgeous game, and no slowdown. It's a big open world. Do I say hub world? It's open world because you can go anywhere. Has nice little cinematic moments. It's great. tries to do too much, I think, and that's why it won't win this category. But it's definitely worthy of a nomination because it is a gorgeous game and it does play well and it is fun to play.
I mean, it's one of the biggest remakes of the year, undoubtedly.
Yeah, I mean, time and energy went into it for sure.
I would just say it's more divisive than the first remake was.
Yep.
FF7 Remake, I think, was kind of universally appreciated, especially on our staff. This seems a little bit different. I think it goes back to your point, though, Greg. There's like a lot of stuff to do to the point where it's like maybe it's too much stuff to do.
The one thing I will say it does exceptionally well, better than 97 is just explaining what's going on. Like there's this whole section where you go through a temple. And I went through the same section in 97 and did not do nearly as good of a job explaining what the heck Sephiroth was and what the ancients were, but it was really well written in this one. So I really did enjoy that. I'm like, okay, so that's what was happening. That was the problem. I was like, because it didn't do that in 97. So that was good too. When they remade it, they made it more clear about what was happening and why it was bad than just like sucking energy from the earth. I always thought it was just people sucking energy from the earth and Sephiroth wants to destroy it with a meteor, but there's a lot more going on than that, and it explains it much more mainstream, much more clear in the remake.
They highlight the corruption of that world better than the original.
Yeah, the disease that comes in and infects people and stops their bodies from absorbing the energy. So like it's a big problem, right? It's everyone's problem. It's not just Shinra, which is kind of cool.
That's a good point. But yeah. Other remakes came out this year. Dom, I think you reviewed Persona 3 Reload, right?
Yes, I did. That was the first Atlas game I reviewed this year. Persona 3 Reload is an excellent remake of the original, which I believe came out in somewhere between 06 and 09. I'm getting those years mixed up. But it's a gorgeous game. Again, the original looked fine for the time, but the updated visual, I thought, in Reload was great. A lot of quality of life updates. I think they got rid of like the punishments for not keeping up with some of the social links, which is cool. The music in P3 Reload still some of the most like memorable in Atlas's catalog. I mean, the combat, the theme, the menu stuff, all when you're like walking around like the C's headquarters is all really good. When I was reviewing it, I like Googled. I was like, "Is this on vinyl by any chance?"
Did you see that? Like, I don't know if you noticed, Don. There's like a rhythm game made by Sega Atlas that only has like Persona music in it. Yeah, Persona 3 is like heavily featured in it.
Okay, that's really interesting.
And this came out in 2006, by the way.
06, okay. So yeah, it was 06. And the game is still set in 2006, I believe, because obviously you have like the calendar. It's a big deal in the Persona games, and it's the 2006 calendar, which every time I opened that, I was like, man, that was so long ago. But it's still a phenomenal game. It's great.
Yeah. We talked about in other categories, but Sega Atlas had a pretty great year, and this was the kickoff to it because this did come out earlier in the year. There's never been a better time to play Persona 3, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's got a few re-releases at this point because they did Portable and whatnot. But
PSP, yeah, or Vita, maybe Vita, can't remember.
Somewhere around there.
It was one of those. We got another one here. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. They finally did it.
Yeah, that's one where the name is funny, but I think it's funny on purpose, right? I think they were trying to do a joke there.
The whole game is a joke, so yeah, it makes like I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like
no game is really out there. Funny. Yeah,
it's a funny game. It's a silly game about killing zombies with whatever you have.
It also plays an important role in my life because when I bought that game for 360, it was the first game I could not read text because it needed HD.
Yeah,
could not read it.
Yep.
I was intelligible. You could not read it at all. I was like, wow. But like that was a cool sign of like future evolve. Like we're finally moving. Like we have to move on. Like it was just a cool.
So you had a 360 like plugged into like a 4:3 aspect ratio CRT.
Yep.
And then like you fire up Dead Rising, and it's like
you just can't read any of the text. It's all blurry. Yeah, it's all blurry and small. You can't read it. So I was like, I can't see anything.
360 didn't launch with a HDMI cable. It didn't have a HDMI plugin.
Yep.
The OG 360.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I must have skipped out on all of that because I don't think I bought a 360 till Gears came out, and I think by then it had an HDMI port. Maybe I'm wrong.
All my friends had one, and we didn't have internet, so like it was a big. That's why I never owned an Xbox. It's like we didn't have internet until like mid 2000s. So would satellite internet, so it would come in packets.
Did you live in Amish country?
No, I just lived out in the middle of like nowhere, and like we had satellite internet, and I could play. Dave will appreciate this, StarCraft, but like everything would freeze every 30 seconds and then speed up for like 5 seconds, and freeze for 30 seconds and speed up. So
the latency in StarCraft, I remember that
was the only game I could kind of play online.
I feel your pain, man. I had dial-up here for a really long time. And Donovan, dial-up internet was this thing where you used your phone to connect to the internet, and it would go.
We've lost the plot a bit here, I feel.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, no, anyway, but it's a good remaster. TJ did an interview with the producer and the director, and they were like, they cared about it. They go back to their old catalog of games, and they explain the process and what they remaster and why they remaster it. They do take stuff out because it's probably not appropriate in 2024 and some of this stuff, just different time period.
Yep.
And then but it's still a beautiful game. TJ loved the ball. The ball looks amazing.
I don't know if it looks that great. It just is a fun game. So like I'm just happy to see it back. I'm not really like, oh, it needed to be. This is not the game where I'm like, it needs to be RE engine and it needs to be polished. It's all like, I don't care. I just want to bash zombies with a baseball bat.
That's
and have, like,
an important part of what makes this good. Is like they didn't. They only changed the stuff that they absolutely had to, and like we're talking about QOL stuff. Being able to get off the call with Otis in the middle of a zombie crowd, and then like not have to worry about that call. Like it'll confirm whether or not you finish the conversation or not. I do believe. Being able to like carry people through zombie crowds without being harassed like regularly, which is nice, because I think if you were getting hit all the time when you're escorting, that was a problem in the first game.
Yeah.
Like to a huge degree. And it made it very frustrating. They just cleaned up so much that was like kind of a needless pain in the ass about the original, while letting the rest of the kind of quirky elements stay intact. And I think that was the good call, because Dead Rising is fun. You don't need to change too much about it as far as the gameplay loop and the context and everything goes. It's a weird zombie action survival game, and you just got to make it to the end, or just have fun however you want. And they understood that.
Yeah. For me, it's like, I don't care if I finish that game. It's more just like, did I have fun bashing zombies in the head? Like, I play that for the emergent gameplay moments more than anything. But yeah, I didn't want them to change too much about it, because like I really enjoyed the original. I feel like every iteration that they did, they went further away from what made that original great.
Yes.
So it's like good to see them come back to this before they maybe this is them testing out the IP, David, to see like, is there an appetite for a game like this again? Because I would love to see like a refreshed take on this.
Yes.
We talked about it with like Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess earlier, but like weird Capcom and goofy Capcom is like one of the best Capcoms out there, and this is like the game for them, where they like this and Dino Crisis are like these games that they can kind of experiment with. And yeah, I think the deluxe remaster here is kind of that.
Also, he's a photojournalist. Like, that's kind of cool. I like that he's going to cover there, and all the sound effects. Oh, nice! When he takes a picture is great. I like that stuff.
You know, another game where you get to play as a journalist, Greg. Bug Snacks.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're investigative journalism at its finest.
Yeah, just letting you point that out. Our next nominee, though, Silent Hill 2. Now we're getting somewhere here, guys. David, how great is this remake? And is Silent Hill basically Canton, Ohio?
Yeah, especially on foggy mornings, I would say for sure.
Right?
I'll let TJ make the brunt of this argument, but you know, I was telling TJ and Greg, I think that when I was a teenager, you know, when you don't have your own money, you have to be very selective in what your parents ask you to buy. And I was always on the Resident Evil train, so I missed Silent Hill completely. And by the time I did have my own money, they were on like Silent Hill 4, and I was like, I don't know what this is. And so I got to play Silent Hill 2 as my first Silent Hill game. I remember messaging TJ, and TJ was messaging me, and I think we both got it around the review period because I wrote some guides for it. And I love the atmosphere. I have to give a particular shout out to the sound design in this game. I don't think since Dead Space I have played a horror game with as immersive sound design, a soundscape as this. It's just phenomenal.
That's awesome.
The use of chaotic noise and also just utter complete silence is so unsettling in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like when everything is too quiet, you feel it in Silent Hill 2.
Oh yeah.
And I've played the original and I've played the remake extensively, like gone all endings on these games. And I've like this was one that people were really nervous about because there's this perception about Bloober Team that they're mid, and I've always known that that's not quite the case. Those guys are amazing at environmental storytelling and puzzle solving, and they just have really.
When did that start? That narrative, was it
Medium.
Blair Witch? Was that what did it?
The Medium was like one of the most high profile examples where it came
Medium.
from.
Okay.
But what people don't want to admit, and I'm going to drop a hot take here, they have this like devotion to the way Silent Hill 2 used to be, in an aspect that I call it sucks so good.
Oh wow.
Like combat in those original games, the camera styles, the way that enemies worked and operated, it was janky in a way that they made fun, but it was also limitations of the time that made it like age like milk, I would say. And here we are at Silent Hill 2 in 2024, and I think that Bloober Team did a good job of improving the pieces that needed to be improved. If you just let it be the way it was before with like fixed camera angles and like janky enemies, I think you lose a little bit of that pressure in 2024. I think you lose a little bit of that atmosphere. And because of that, I think they did a great job of applying their style and their specialties of environment, of puzzle solving, of satisfying and like really, really creepy horror atmosphere. And they did it like on a level that still feels like Silent Hill 2. Like Silent Hill 2 Remake still feels like Silent Hill 2. And that's the most important part.
Nice. Well, yeah, do you have any more to add to that?
Nope.
Good. I love that game.
Nice. What is our last nominee in this category? Sorry.
I believe it's Dragon Quest.
Dragon Quest.
That is. Donovan, as the patron saint of Dragon Quest at the site. Do you want to let the world know why Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake is probably your vote here?
Yes, because it's a phenomenal remake, and I think something that's really special about it is that it actually doesn't change all that much about the original game as far as like gameplay and mechanics and stats and whatnot are. It's still a grindy RPG. You turn around the wrong mountain, you're gonna see a level spike. It's challenging. It doesn't hold your hand, although they have added helpful like things to help you remember quests and stuff. It's not handholdy. You kind of the story is all kind of gathered from NPCs that you talk to. It rewards exploration, but it's all now in the beautiful, beautiful art style of the Octopath Traveler games with the 2D HD, where your characters are these very colorful, vibrant sprites that move throughout like detailed 3D worlds and levels. And something that I love in this game, as a fan of turn-based RPGs, whenever you go into a combat instance, obviously like JRPGs or any turn-based RPG, you'll just throw up like a background. If you're in the woods, it'll be trees. If you're in the city, it'll be like a stone pathway behind you. But there are so many specific like battle instance like environments that I noticed. Like there's one where I was in a tower and I'm fighting and I can see like the lights in the back and the ceiling. Then I'd go to the rooftop and then suddenly we're like around the edge of the building and I can see the stairs going down. Like they have so many different detailed levels and just visual designs in this game, or the way like the light bounces off the walls when you walk around with the lantern. They've managed to make this game so gorgeous while still keeping it retro and old school. And there's also been some new additions. I believe they added the Beast Tamer class, which is not in the original DQ3 that came later on. So that's in there. Like I said, some small quality of life additions. There's now a button after you talk to an NPC or like read something in the world. You just tap a button and it saves it to like a memory log, and you can just go back and reread that conversation or whatever it was. Because people will usually tell you, "Oh, the key is hidden here. This person might know that." Which kind of eases some of those pains of 1980s video game design.
Not having to talk to every single NPC. So you,
right.
you get
your point about the like the background in the combat screens, it kind of reminds me of Octopath.
Yep.
Which
Very
I
similar.
was like, I feel like that was the first game to really nail that, where like it was like, wow, you really do feel like you're in that area. The other game recently that I've noticed that in TJ is Unicorn Overlord, where like it's such a little thing, Donovan, but it really does make you feel more immersed in the world.
It does.
And it's a little detail in a game like Dragon Quest 3, but I think that's the kind of stuff I wanted from an HD 2D remake. And that, like, I remember thinking it was the Octopath devs even making this to begin with, but it's just they took a lot of inspiration, it seems like, from the success of those games.
Yeah. It is phenomenal.
That is a great murderer's row of nominations there, you guys.
It's one of those categories. It's just going to be stacked every year, just by the nature of the industry at this point. Yeah.
It's kind of surprising that we haven't seen Jeff adopt this category yet. I don't think that they don't have a best remake yet.
Yeah, less ad time.
Okay. Because that show doesn't already run long enough. Like, one more award really gonna that's the straw that's gonna break.
That's the straw. Back. Yeah, the one last award. It's just slightly too long.
Anyway, so yeah, anyone want to? Do we miss anything? Are we ready to vote? You guys ready to vote? Okay.
Ready. So.
Let me get over here on my other spreadsheet. It's fun with spreadsheets, you guys. Okay. I already have your vote, David. I'm pretty sure I already know your vote, but I'll let you tell the folks at home what you're voting.
Yeah, as cool as Dragon Quest 3 sounds, I gotta go with Silent Hill 2.
Did you play the original Dragon Quest 3?
I did. Way back on the NES, yeah.
So I'm like, I don't mean to say this disparagingly. You're not gonna miss anything. Like, you played it. You know what I mean? Like, right. It's if you like that game and it gives you warm and fuzzies, this is the one to play right now. But like,
right.
Yeah, it's a little less novel. I think because Silent Hill was more novel for you, maybe that's why this remake kind of resonated with you.
That's definitely part of it, yeah.
Donovan?
I'm going to roll with Dragon Quest 3 HD2D remake.
Nice. Greg?
I'll do Silent Hill 2.
Mm-hmm. TJ?
Silent Hill.
Sam?
While I'm a Dead Rising man through and through, I recognize that Silent Hill is the better remake this year, so put me down for Silent Hill.
Okay. Steve's absentee ballot is for Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake. Bill's absentee ballot, bless you, is for Silent Hill 2, which means my vote.
And Denny's? Did Denny vote already?
Denny does not have a vote in here.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess Denny would have gone with Silent Hill 2. He's a big horror fan. So I think it's safe to say. And even if he didn't, you guys have enough votes to win. So congratulations. I don't know. Let me pick something else to vote for. You guys are all voting for the same stuff. I'm kind of like you, Sam. The Dead Rising one, like, that's the one that's like for me.
Yeah.
All these.
I get it.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Oz, if you like fun, mindless games, we remade your favorite one of this series, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if it even had a chance, maybe I would vote for Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. I think it's so. This is ridiculously hard comparing Silent Hill 2 remake with Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. Like, I like both these games for different reasons, but I technically live in Silent Hill, so I will vote for Silent Hill 2. So yeah, was that Konami published? Bloober Team developed?
Yes.
Nice. Well, congratulations to both of them. Silent Hill 2 has won the Shacknews Award for the best remake / remaster of the year 2024.
Your own little Mary.
It doesn't matter if you're smart, dumb, ugly, pretty. It's all the same once you're dead.